everybody. So excited to have you all. I'll give you all just a second to take your seats before we get started. And while you're doing that, I'll just quickly introduce myself. So I am an AI product leader here at Cresta. Prior to that, I was working in conversation design. So I've built and deployed many, many AI agents for customers across a lot of different verticals. And so I'm excited to be here to talk to you today about implementing AI agents. And to help me with that, I'm going to welcome Colin Taylor and Kevin Dillman to the stage to join me. Awesome, great. Excited to have you guys here. Maybe you can just start by introducing yourselves quickly.
Sure, I'm Colin Taylor from Propel Holdings. We're a fintech. We provide financial products to customers in the US, in Canada, and most recently the UK.
Excellent.
And I'm Kevin Dillman. I'm Senior Director of Center Reservations with Xanterra Travel Collection. We're a mixture of different travel companies. We've got a couple of adventure tour companies, holiday vacations, VBT, a small luxury ship cruise line, Windstar Cruises. And then also on the lodging side, we're a concessionaire with the National Park Service. We have places like Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, Glacier, and also own and operate some other hotels on our own.
Great. Really excited to have you both here today. So you guys both have AI agents working for you to help with efficiency and customer satisfaction across pretty different businesses. So maybe just to kick us off, you can say a little bit about what you have deployed today.
Sure. So we started with Agent Assist in our chat and voice channels. And we also have an AI agent in our chat channel, and plans to do that in our voice channel in the new year.
Great.
Similar, we've got Agent Assist. We started with that first, and then starting in June, we started launching some chat virtual agents. And so with each of our destinations, we've got different chat agents for those. We now have 7 chat agents that are live on the lodging side, 1 for Windstar Cruises, and then we also have 4 voice agents currently live, and we're testing 3 more right now to launch those the first week of December.
Amazing. So how many agents is that in the last 5 months?
That's 12?
I think 12. So I think that might be a record. It's at least a record for me. Amazing. Awesome. So I'd like to talk a little bit about what were some of the challenges or opportunities that you saw in your business that made you consider using AI agents, to start with. And Kevin, maybe we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, being, going back a few years, looking at, what are opportunities to help reduce call volume, and especially coming out of the pandemic, we were dealing with lots of just questions, and even in general, just a lot of questions, people asking, national parks, directions, what's the weather going to be like, just all kinds of, different types of questions. And so there's a lot of conversations that, are tying up our agents that we thought would be a great opportunity for the virtual agents to help answer those questions and save our agents for selling and the more complicated things. And so that's where we started with, with the virtual agents.
Yeah, and initially we wanted to provide more tools for our agents. All our agents are working from home, have been since 2020, and we needed to get them some tools to have the support that they need to do their job. So Agent Assist is where we started. And then as far as AI agent goes, we just couldn't scale quick enough for how fast we're growing as a business. 40% year-over-year growth. We just couldn't meet that as far as live agents goes. In our business, it might take 3 to 6 months to ramp up a live agent, and we just couldn't catch up to that. So that's where the AI agent helps us.
Excellent. That's great. Yeah, it definitely helps scale, so you don't have to hire a new agent for each conversation.
Exactly.
So it's very helpful. And then curious about what objectives you were trying to accomplish when you decided to explore agentic AI solutions, and also I know there's probably a lot of people in the audience who are skeptical about deploying agentic AI for their contact centers. So what gave you the confidence that the technology was ready to handle your customers' conversations at scale?
Yeah, so we started talking to Cresta a few years ago, almost 4 years ago now, I think. And we didn't sign up until January, so quite a courtship. And a lot of that was really based on going to different conferences, going to the trade shows, and really just being overwhelmed with everything that was being offered. It seemed as if everyone was offering the same thing. And what we identified is that we wanted a partner that was laser focused on contact center solutions specifically, and not really spreading themselves thin in all different areas of different businesses. And then obviously trying to take a few years to see who's still standing and who's still in the market. So it could be a long partnership, and that's really what we needed to figure out, and that's what we found in Cresta.
Awesome. How about you, Kevin?
Yeah, very similar, not quite 4 years, but we did spend some time in looking at it. One of our requirements, was wanting a one-stop shop, that we could do both agent assist and the virtual agents, with one partner and not have to do multiple partners. And so that's, brought Cresta to the top, from that perspective, and being able to, to handle both of those. And with one vendor, there's some synergies there, and that, helped us out.
Awesome. And is there anything in particular that gave you confidence in these kinds of technologies?
Yeah, I think we really wanted the technology to show us consistency in the message to the customer, along with our live agents. That was really important to us, just to make sure that the customers are all getting the same information from the same people, because as you know, with even live agents, you're not necessarily getting all the same information all the time. So we just wanted to make that very consistent between the technology and our live agents, and Cresta proved to us that that could be done.
Awesome.
Yeah, we pushed the Cresta team, I think, a lot on through that courtship, time frame, and just to make sure that we had good comfort level with the team that we were working with as a partnership. And as Colin mentioned, I mean, it's long-term types of things. It's a big investment to go into it, and so we wanted to make sure we had good comfort level with who we were working with.
Excellent. I'm glad you chose us. So I guess next maybe we can talk a little bit about the rollout and how that happened for each of you. So I'm curious to hear about how you decided which use cases to start with, how you're handling change management in your organizations, and then maybe also if you had any initial quick wins that helped with momentum as you were going through the rollout process. I don't know, Kevin, if you want to start on this one.
Ask the first question again.
The rollout process, how you decided which use cases to start with. I know you sort of already said you mostly focus on FAQ for the initial rollout, so kind of what informed that decision? And
yeah, I mean, looking at that, I mean, FAQs is where we're at now, and started with that, as I mentioned, before, a lot of questions coming in. So, it's like, where do you start? And so, that's why we went with, just FAQs, and we didn't have to worry about, out of the gate to get integrations with other systems and all of that. And we knew that, that there would be some wins, coming out of that. And so, got into that, and it's working, for us. I mean, we're seeing on the chat side, depending upon the product, 60 to 90% containment, 20 to 30% on the voice side to start with, and that's just FAQs, being able to help with that piece. So there's definitely more opportunity there, and great wins coming out of the beginning.
Awesome. Yeah, I think especially with that, it was in terms of quick wins, it was impressive to see sort of how quickly we got to really good containment for y'all. So it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, we started with FAQs as well. As far as identifying use cases, Cresta really helped with that. We thought we knew what use cases to start with, but once Cresta was able to ingest our historical conversations, they were able to identify whether we were off base or not, or where to start. So that was very helpful. And then, yeah, we didn't have the sophistication of APIs internally yet, so we needed to start with the FAQs while our development team would ramp up and as a part of kind of a phase 2 rollout, include the APIs. So, we had pretty robust FAQs on our websites that they were able to tap into. And I think initially we were all surprised. I think we had about 38 to 40% containment there in our chat channel, just with FAQs. So I think we were all a little bit surprised that moved the needle as much as it did. And then once we ingested the APIs, we were up to about 58% containment there. So there's been some really good improvements there in containment.
Awesome.
Another win was 24/7. I mean, our contact center is not 24/7, so having the virtual agents, that gave us the 24/7 coverage and out of the gate as well.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, thinking about the sort of initial use case selection, I was thinking about the automation discovery that Josh presented earlier today, and how that's an evolution from how we did it all with you guys a year or so ago. But I think that's great. Yeah.
Another quick one I just thought of was just the auto summarization of notes. That's something, I mean, for any of us that have been in contact centers for years, it's the bane of our existence, is the inconsistency of notes and how long or too short or whatever. And so that was another quick win for us, and really kind of cutting down that after call work for agents. And that was a pretty quick implementation for Agent Assist auto summarization. That got off the ground really quickly. So.
Yeah, I think the flip side of people being concerned about implementing technologies like AI Agent is that there is a lot more consistency, really, with these kinds of technologies too. So I think it can be really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I would say is, for those of us that have any sort of reservations about the consistency of messaging and everything, what I've been saying is, we have live agents right now giving inconsistent information. So if you want to transition to technology doing that, you're at least at a level playing field there. So that's a good starting point and puts my mind at ease at least.
Excellent. Yeah, and this question's for you, Colin, but talking about the rollout, I know you said initially you sort of weren't ready with the APIs to do the full transactional use case. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious if you can talk a little bit more about after go live, how you sort of went through the improvement cycle, whether that was adding new use cases, looking at insights, and sort of partnering with the Cresta team on that. How did that work for you?
Yeah, so we would meet through probably 3 or 4 times a week with our customer success manager, and Cresta, they would come to us with what they're noticing in the data and where there might be some tuning that they could do in the model. So it was an ongoing improvement. We were getting feedback from our agents, tracking that, whether it was transcription inconsistencies or whatever the case may be. So it was kind of an ongoing tuning that was probably a little more frequent in the first couple of weeks, and then after a while, you're not getting as much feedback from the agents. Things seem to be ironed out. Cresta's made the changes that we've suggested, and yeah, so really great partnership back and forth, and really truthfully the CSMs at Cresta are second to none. So it's very easy.
Yes.
Shout out to them. So very easy to work with and partner. I think when I registered, someone asked me, "Do you work for Cresta?" And I said, "I kind of feel like it because I've spent a lot of time with them in the last few months, and that's because of the time we've spent with the CSMs." So.
Awesome. I realized I skipped over a question, but we sort of already we touched on quick wins. Mm-hmm. Were there any other results that you saw sort of as you went through the process and sort of gained momentum there that you wanted to talk about? I think we kind of talked about results a little bit already, but anything else there that y'all wanted to add?
I'm looking to Kevin, but there was a lot. I mentioned the auto summarization. I think that the good thing with the technology is the agents have adapted, and I think that there's less fear of the technology, I would say. and they've seen how it can enhance their experience. They're handling higher value, what we would call higher value conversations, and maybe not the tedious ones anymore. So they're finding themselves a little more challenged than maybe they were. So I think I've seen a few of them with a little more pep in their step, so to speak. And so I think there's, for those agents that want to, increase their career path, I think it's better for them because they don't have to deal with kind of those tedious kind of questions that are just the easy ones to handle day in, day out, and then lowering their kind of energy level, especially in a work from home situation. So I think just overall the adoption of the technology has been a big win for us.
Awesome. Anything else results-wise from you, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of touched on, most of the things as far as, the 24/7, was a big piece, and seeing, having that opportunity to handle those, without having to staff agents, for that, and just, it's doing exactly what we wanted it to do, so far.
Great to hear. So this question is for you as well, Kevin. So curious if there's anything that you found surprising about how your customers are interacting with AI agents versus how they interact with your human agents.
Surprising a little bit. I mean, we were hoping for good containment, coming in, and seeing, the high containment we are getting on the chat side was definitely higher than what we expected, going into it. On the voice side, out of the gate, we weren't expecting as high of containment, knowing, in our world, by not having the integrations into our reservation system to begin with, and it is just, the FAQ to start with, but we're getting, good containment, coming into that. And a success story that, when I heard this a few weeks ago, was reviewing conversations, and we had on the voice side, we had a guest call in, was on a speakerphone. You could tell that was, probably an older gentleman. His wife was in the background, and he was trying to make a reservation, but he needed to reset his password to our online reservation system. And so the virtual agent walked him through step by step, very patiently, had to repeat our website address multiple times, where to go, and gave him the direction. And, he joked with her and said, sorry, I'm old, I'm slow. And she's like, that's okay, I'm here to help you, whatever, and worked all the way through. And when I first was kind of reading the transcription, I'm like, I don't know if this person realized that he's actually speaking with a virtual agent or not. And then, he made some comments along the way. And then at the very end, I mean, she walked him through all of it. And even, his wife was having that conversation in the background. And so they're going through this. It was probably a, 15-minute conversation. And, at the end, he's like, well, for not being a real person, you did a really good job. Like, okay, so, he knew that he was speaking with a virtual agent, and she did exactly what, she was supposed to do, and walked him through. I mean, a human agent might have, not had the same level of patience going through that, but I mean, because, a virtual agent, I mean, she just kept right at it, and just, I'm here to help you, and I'll keep going, and just keep asking the questions. And he repeated things several times, but, just walked him right through it. It was pretty awesome. So it's fun to share, because it's like that's exactly the types of things that we were hoping to accomplish, because we don't need to tie up a live agent, to handle that, to help our guests and get them to with what they need, but where the virtual agent can help them.
Yeah, I think it was that same conversation actually, where in the middle there was the customer asked whether the password was case sensitive or something like that. And she said, I don't have that information, but I can get you to someone who can answer that question. And he was like, no, I'll figure it out myself. I want to keep talking to you, which I thought was also a really lovely moment. And I would say in general, this kind of interaction has been the biggest surprise for me across the voice deployments we've done so far with AI Agent. And I think I hear from a lot of prospects concerns about how the older population will adopt this technology because we think of them as sort of not wanting to engage with it. But across our deployments, I've actually found that that the older population tend to do the best with it because they appreciate the patience, speaking slowly, and sort of going through those things. And so I've been really surprised with the adoption of this technology by different populations. So I think that's really interesting. Also, I just wanted to call out, notice how Kevin refers to the AI agent as she. We all do that. We love to anthropomorphize our AI agents. So I think it's a fun fact. All right, so Colin, I have another question for you. Sure. I think a lot of organizations are thinking about how they manage the balance between automation and humans in the contact center. So I'm curious to hear a little bit more about how you're sort of managing that hybrid workforce, and if you have any tips or suggestions for people in the audience today.
Yeah, I think we love our agents. We've had a lot of our agents for a lot of years, a lot of veteran agents that have been with us pre-pandemic to now. And I think there's a really good opportunity for some retraining, professional development, because now they're handling those high value conversations on a daily basis. So I think we have an opportunity internally to kind of refresh them in certain areas and give them a few more skills. We're giving them the tools and try to give them some more training because now that they're not handling kind of the tedious questions overall, which can be mind-numbing, for lack of a better term, they need to use their minds in different ways now. So that's what we're trying to do, just try to lean into that. And I think if you do that, that's showing the live agent that you value them and that they shouldn't be fearful of their job or of the technology. So I think that's important right now, and that's what we're doing.
Excellent. Yeah, maybe a similar question for you, Kevin. So thinking specifically about change management, and I have heard from a lot of prospects as well, just concerns from the agents about being replaced and things like that. So curious if you have any thoughts on how you've sort of handled that change management in your organization as well.
Yeah, one of the things we did when we first started talking about it, agents, express concern, what's happening and all of that. So what we actually did was pulled all of our agents off and had them either chat or call in to our virtual agents. So they got to actually experience what what our guests would be going through. So they knew what that experience was like. And so then, they played a part of that. And then they're like, okay, well, now I see what's happening, and knowing that, right now we're just doing the, just FAQs and go through the process and actually get handed off to a live agent so they could, understand and experience what that was going to be. And then, they get the summary in the handoff to know what happened on the conversation, up to that point, as well. And then the other piece that we've done is we've been very aggressive in rolling out, our virtual agents. Is we actually have some of our team helping us with the testing, and so that's given them some exposure to it from a different perspective, where they know what the questions that our guests are asking, and so they're in turn using those questions and helping us to ask and ask, test the agents and see what the responses are. And as we optimize and fine tune and update our knowledge base, it's been one of the big learnings. As we thought, it's like, okay, well, there's all this information out on our website, but going through this process, we're like, okay, well, maybe it wasn't there, or maybe we should be wording it better, because it made sense to us, but it may not make sense to everybody else when we're too close to it. That now getting a different perspective and having Cresta ingesting our knowledge base information and the virtual agents responding with that, it's like, okay, here's an opportunity to improve that. So we've greatly made a bunch of changes and improved our FAQs on our own website to better help the virtual agents to serve our guests.
I think redeployment of agents in different areas is a good opportunity that we've been trying to take advantage of. And we only have the AI agent in the chat channel, so we were able to redeploy some live chatters into the voice channel as well, sharpen their skills over there. So yeah, I think there's some other roles internally that might kind of bubble up along the way. Our goal is to really have the technology allow us to not have to ramp up the way we normally would with huge onboarding classes as far as net new agents, but as far as the existing ones we have, really kind of sharpen their skills and redeploy them where needed, and maybe they have other skills in other corporate departments and things like that. So we're excited about that.
Great, awesome. So last question for you guys. For anyone in the audience who's considering deploying AI agents, what advice would you give them?
For me, I would say just get on with it. I mean, I've already done the work for you for the last 4 years. So just make your decision and get on with it. Cresta's a great partner. I'm not getting anything out of this endorsement.
I did coach him a little bit backstage, but.
But yeah, I mean, I was in the same boat, just overwhelmed with the technology and not knowing where to start. But someone said before, if you want to write the great American novel, you got to stop rewriting it, and at some point you have to get it to the publisher. So that's what I would say about making a decision on this technology, is just to get on with it. And a partner like Cresta will help you figure it out on the way. You're not going to have a perfect plan for your deployment, but just starting at the use case level is pretty easy to do. And then once you're in there, you're going to start getting a little addicted with it, and you're going to say, okay, let's layer on some use cases here, and you're just going to see the widespread benefit for everyone. And I think too, if you don't get into the game, you're kind of getting left behind as far as what you can do as far as scaling and growing as a company. So that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same thing. It's like, I mean, just do it. You have to start somewhere. I mean, technology is constantly evolving. It's like, do I get a new iPhone, or do I get a new smartwatch or whatever? And if you wait for the next great feature, you're missing the boat. And you start somewhere. It's scary at first. I mean, when we launched our first agent, it was like, okay, I mean, we're all panicked and watching and waiting for the conversations to come through, and what are our guests going to actually ask? And in the end, it worked out great. I mean, we could monitor it, and we haven't had anything major happen coming out of it, and it's doing what it's supposed to do, and we've dipped our toe into it, and now it's just, I mean, as Colin said, I mean, you start somewhere and then just continue to build from there, and you learn. I mean, there's so much more as you get into it. It's like, okay, this is great, and here's more that we could do, and to build off of that. But you got to start. You can't just sit on the sidelines, otherwise you won't go anywhere.
Awesome, great. Well, really appreciate you both. Let's give them a hand for great conversation. Thank you so much.